hello. Hi.
Hey there. Hello,
Hi.
you. Come out from under that rock and listen to us for an hour.
Oh God! Or stay under there while you listen.
Stay under that rock and listen to us
yeah.
for an hour.
Stay cozy under there. Don't let us, frighten you out of your hiding place.
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, little one. Put on these
Yes.
headphones and hear some things.
It's been an interesting little week because P-Flax, you came down.
I did.
And Sips, you stayed under the rock.
I stayed under the rock and listened to you guys for an hour. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a good time with me when Pyrian was down.
I had a great time.
We played Bolt Action.
We did.
Which will go out in probably 3 months' time when it finally gets some editing, because it's a bit of a fiddle. It's always a fiddle doing the little tiny men.
Yeah.
And then we did a Dota tournament, which was exhilarating.
It was great.
Very stressful.
There's been a new patch, right, for Dota? Isn't there like a big new balance patch?
Yes.
There has.
It came out like 2 days ago.
It's the pre-TI
Pre-TI
patch we were hoping for that's going to shake everything up.
Are you still playing a lot of Dota, Lewis?
No, but I'm watching quite a lot, you see.
Oh, okay.
And I love it now. Like, I love not having to
play
because
it.
I'm old and arthritic, and I don't have the quick twitch reflexes, and also people just get angry with me.
Sure.
The people who want to play with me get angry with me.
Yeah.
It's like when I'm playing with Pyrian or something. It's like he hates it. He hates it. It changes his view of me,
Yeah.
Whereas if I sound smart when I'm doing the casting, I think Pyrian has a higher view of me. Do you know what I mean?
So you want to stay in that zone. You want to stay in the high view zone.
It's quite nice. I mean, when I'm playing Dota as well, I'm concentrating. I'm not making jokes. I'm not having fun, Whereas when I'm watching someone else play bad, or even not that bad, better than I would, even the worst games we watch, the people we're watching are clearly doing things that are better than me, and I'm like, why is he doing that? I'm like, oh, what a terrible play, and I'm like, secretly in the back of my mind, I'm like, I probably would have done that,
Right.
or because.
Yeah, you're living vicariously through them, right? Because you're watching them, and you're like, oh yeah, solid play. That's the play I would do for sure. But then when it comes down to it, you probably wouldn't have done the play.
I would hope it was making me better at the game, but I don't know if it is, I think a lot of people watch stuff online assuming it's going to make them better, and it must do to some extent. My game knowledge must have increased a little bit. But...
Well, your game knowledge, I would hope so, because I think for casting, you do have to have a tremendous amount of game knowledge. You don't necessarily need to be, the best at the game, but if you know a lot about it and how it works, that's kind of essential, right, for casting.
I guess I'm not schooling myself though. I'm not researching. I'm not looking into it. When you look at some of these pro gamers, I think I've probably talked about this before, but they always almost treat it like school, and they learn the movement speeds of all the heroes, and they actually make an effort to kind of digest some information about the game, so that when they actually are playing the game, they know that Faceless Void runs faster than Shadow Shaman or whatever without boots. And so they know that they can punch people down. Whereas I've never lifted a finger to learn any of that crap. No. I barely know the item names, and I've done 5,000 hours. But that's because it's fun. It's not fun when you're playing it. Dota's this a really weird game.
It is. You got very into the casting when we did the Gunter National, whatever we called it, the Yogster National, the sort of four team thing that we did last week.
The Gunter National.
Sure. Yeah, you got really into it. And it was quite funny to see, because I've watched a lot of bad Dota, and that's my favourite kind. So I'm really sort of just kind of letting it wash over me, because you can't get too into it. But you were really into it. But you do get kind of caught up in the moment, and it's a very exciting game. It's an hour. There's a whole storyline if you're watching the game. It really does. Teams that are way ahead and then come back, or teams that are blowing it, and you can see them panicking in real time. It's thrilling.
I feel a bit embarrassed because I do just lose. I don't want to be that guy that's a casting, right? I don't want to be that. I'm not good at it, and I'm not. It's almost like if someone had to listen to it, like back in the day. I guess this is where this comes from, in a sense, people doing radio of the game, right? So you'd listen to the radio version of the football match.
Play-by-play, yeah.
The play-by-play. And so I feel like I'm not but I also feel like it adds just a level of base excitement. And sometimes Period will like pick up his vape, and I'll hear like the hiss of a vape, and I'm like, okay, I've got talk for the next minute.
Yeah.
Because I've got like this window where Period's most excited thing he's going to do is cough smoke everywhere, if something interesting happens.
Yeah. Yeah. You're working with the worst caster in Dota. Let's just put that. I am the worst. Like, if you ever hear me casting in a big event, they've run out of people. So I can do it, but it's not like my main job. And I'm not generally the play-by-play guy. Like, I would be the person making stupid comments on the side. So the full-time casting, we did the Scrubcast on Tuesday for the regular Tuesday night Scrubcast games, and we got Lyrical in, who's like a TI main stage caster, top-tier caster. And he was just chilling. Like, he was just hanging out. But he just effortlessly sort of steps in and casts the fight and it tells the story. He's very good at it, and he's got a great voice as well. So
Is he
makes
American?
it look easy. Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Okay. They have a very different casting style to Brits, for example, or maybe even anyone else. But they ham it up a bit, don't they? Like American casters.
Gabe doesn't. I don't think Gabe does. He's just himself. Like he's one of the nicest, genuinely one of the nicest guys I've ever met.
Some people do manage to get wrapped into it, though. They get sucked in, and they're just in a different world when they're casting. And I love that. Whereas I'm always just not quite sure what's going on. And
right.
I'm trying to learn it myself. I'm like, what happened there?
Do you suppose
I'm not sure who's on which team.
Right. I suppose there's kind of an allegory for most things. Most things that we do in life, I think we like to think that if someone's doing something, they know what they're doing. But more often than not, they're just sort of brazenly having a go. You know what I mean? Like, they don't really 100%. Everybody's uncertain of themselves most of the time. People who are blindly certain of themselves seem like psychopaths. Like, generally, I think most people are sort of uncertain, a little bit nervous. They want to make sure it goes well. They're worried about how they did. They're thinking about themselves.
Yeah.
But from afar, you think, oh, wow, everyone is so competent.
Yeah, this guy's so got it all sewn up. He knows what he's doing, blah, blah, blah. And I guess, like, some of it's just experience, probably.
Absolutely.
Routine or whatever. But then, there's always going to be an element of self-doubt and whatnot. Yeah.
I think some of these guys are just natural. They've practiced, or they
have practiced a lot, and
they strike you as so professional.
I mean, I know that OD Pixel, who's I would say rightly considered the best sort of play-by-play caster in Dota, and honestly should be considered one of the best in esports. I always thought that he gives off this impression of just being this kind of sort of goofy guy who's just sort of turning up and having a go and everything. But I know that he does practice, rewatches things, comes up with lines ahead of time that he could drop in. Like, he puts a lot of work into it.
Yeah.
And I think the impression that some people have is you either got it or you ain't. It's not like singing. You can't just practice and sing as well as Adele. We've spoken about this before. Some people just have that voice and some don't. So Owen absolutely has the ability to speak ridiculously fast and have that speed of thought and of knowing everything. It's incredible to watch him cast a long team fight. Like, everything just comes flying out of it. But there's a lot of practice that has gone into it, and a lot of training.
See, that's where I would struggle. I just don't like practicing. I'm
not a fan of it.
I don't want to prepare. I don't really want to do any work. I want to turn up and just be good, and if I'm not good, I'm done.
I don't
See
like
you later.
this. Yeah.
I'll go find something else that I can immediately, effortlessly be good at. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not putting in any work.
Well, the other secret is being edited, right? Like, this is how most comedians, they have their hour-long perfected set that they've trimmed and edited to be funny every moment, and all the beats lined up, and it's prepared. And the other thing is, the panel shows record for 2-3 hours and cut it down to half an hour of the funny bits, and they're the two ways that we see these funny people be funny online. But of course they're not like that all the time, in real life, and I think that you just assume, oh, this guy is naturally very, very funny. And some of them are, but they're not. A lot of it is just throwing stuff out there and seeing what sticks and guessing, and just because you don't necessarily know how funny people are going to find a joke until you've said it. And sometimes they're just not funny. In my experience, a lot of my jokes don't land.
Wait, but do you actually prepare your jokes, though?
No,
Like, do
not
you think
really.
about jokes ahead of time, and then you're like,
No,
I wonder,
never.
I wonder how this one's gonna go down.
No, I
No,
don't.
me neither.
No.
I don't do any preparation whatsoever. I don't think I've ever
But it's
prepared
What,
for
for
anything.
Triforce?
But in the moment,
Or
I
anything.
certainly, I don't care. I'm just going to throw stuff out. Like Triforce, we don't cut very much, I don't think, for this. You know, as you can tell from
Yeah.
this long meandering conversation about nothing. This is very Triforce.
Yeah, it's not
So-
very edited.
So no, we had a great time, P-Flex. It was
we
really nice
did.
to see you. We
There were 2 times
few
when I
other
think
games.
I annoyed you, though. I was down there for 4 days, so that's pretty good. Only 2 times managing to annoy you. I'm pretty good at annoying people.
Well, I'm
so-
sure I annoyed you at least that many times.
No, not at all.
So-
So here are the 2 things, Sips, all right, that I annoyed
Okay.
Lewis. First of all,
Look, I'm like a Lewis expert. I can weigh in
Of
on
course.
this. I'll tell you if he was annoyed by that.
all right,
or
I'll
not.
give you a scenario.
This could be like a segment. Was Lewis annoyed? Okay, Flax, hit me with your situations,
All
and
right.
I'll let you know.
Okay, scenario number 1. We had just finished the Dota tournament. Lewis said, I'll get pizza. And everyone was excited. And he bought pizza, and it was vegan pizza. And I did not hide my disdain for the vegan pizza,
Well,
which was insulting to Lewis. He had produced this pizza.
Now,
I was
can
happy
tell
to
you now-
quietly eat it, and very obviously, I mean, I couldn't conceal my disgust because I
No.
had one piece and I clearly didn't look happy. But I wouldn't say this is bullshit and throw it on the ground.
No.
Okay,
And
now
he just
I-
said to me, "What did you think of that pizza?" And I said, "Do you want my honest opinion?" And he laughed, knowing that it was not going to be a positive review. And I said, "I thought it was dog shit." But it was unkind of me. I shouldn't have done that.
No, actually, P-Flax, that didn't annoy me at all. And do you know what? I was just as annoyed because I thought that pizza was fucking shit. But I didn't want to
Lewis,
upset.
You shouldn't just order vegan pizza for, like, how many people were there? You should have
There
done
were
a
about
spread.
10 of us, I think.
Well,
Okay,
the
come
thing
on.
is,
That's even if Lewis was annoyed. That's on him.
I had talked to JD and he said, I love this vegan pizza place. You should try it. It's called Pureza. I always order from there, and he's vegan at the moment, and a couple of other people were as well.
Right.
And so when I asked everyone I asked, even you, I think you just said you were like, I think you shrugged when I said.
I was tired. I was hungover and tired.
So exactly. So I don't think I checked, right?
You didn't
and
ask
then-
me whether I wanted vegan pizza. I will say that.
No, but it was they only had it, and I thought it would be fine, and I was
I
disappointed
think you
and
can't
annoyed.
hit people that aren't
So-
used to vegan cheese. You can't hit them with it.
I can't.
It's too-
I could not be annoyed
it's
with
too
you.
much.
If anything, I was annoyed at myself, P-Flax. So
Okay.
you don't. That
Yeah, I was
not-
gonna say I don't think Lewis would have been annoyed in that situation. Knowing Lewis as intricately as I do, I would say that is a no annoyed.
But it was right in front of everybody that I was slating the pizza, and he just
Well,
bought us all pizza.
I was embarrassed, and I felt
Yeah.
bad.
But I
So-
felt that I added to that, and I should have just said, you know what, Lewis,
Well-
thank you for the pizza. That's what I
But the
should have
pizza
said.
took ages to arrive, and
It did take
there
a
wasn't,
long time
There
to
wasn't
arrive.
really enough of it, even though it wasn't very good. Everyone just it was gone, you know. And there were more people sticking around than I expected as well, because like I expected it. I ordered like 3 pizzas, 'cause
Right.
there was like 6 of us, and then
I
4
will
more
say
people
that-
turned up. But I was
Yeah.
like,
I've had
"Ugh."
experiences like that in the office as well, where there's a lot of people there and pizza gets ordered in, and you walk up to the box to get a slice, and it's all gone. Like they're like vultures. or
They are
something.
vultures, yeah.
I don't
The
know how
pizza
it
comes in
happens.
and everybody loses their fucking mind for some reason. Like,
and
then
then they
there's none
complain
left.
about it. It's crazy.
And then complain about
All right,
it.
here's
but
the
it was-
second one. Here's the second
Okay.
one. Are you ready for this, Sips? This is a definite Lewis annoy. Okay.
Right. Okay. Well, let's see. We'll see about
So
that.
prior to coming down, Lewis said to me, "Would you like to play a board game with some of the longest johns on Thursday?" You know, so I came down. I think we
Right.
did bolt action, didn't we, on the Thursday when I got there, and then I think we cleared
Yeah.
all that away. And at like 5:00,
It was a lot more tiring than I expected it to be. And
hold on.
It was a long
hold on.
day.
At 5:00, a bunch of the people I normally go to the pub with started going to the pub, and I was like, I'm going to play a board game first. I promised this, I play a board game, and I want to play this board game. I'll see you guys after that. So they're all down at the pub, and there's me and the Longest Johns, and I walk into the room, the board game's set up. I thought this was
Yeah.
going to be like an hour and a half board game. This thing was like the battle plans for Operation Overlord laid out.
Yes.
It was fucking enormous. There's like 5,000 miniatures, a billion counters. Everybody's got like all these cards and decks, and the board is huge. You've got this, that. It's all very complicated. I was like, oh my God. And I said, and I think it was probably the worst question to ask, how long do you think this is going to take? And they were like, 4 or 5 hours? And then they were like, and that's the short version. Ha 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 ha. I was like, oh my God. And then I'm getting messages, where are you? Come to pub. And I was like, I'm playing a board game. And they were like, throw the game. Get down here. So Lewis said I was kind of dancing around like a kid waiting to get out of school. And he thought, and this was wrong, he thought I deliberately tried to throw the game so that I could go to the pub, which is not the case. I actually made the winning play, Lewis, if you remember. We won the game, and then I legged it out of there to the pub as fast as I could, which felt kind of rude. Lewis was annoyed because I had agreed to play this board game. I just didn't realize it was going to take 15 years.
Maybe he would have been slightly annoyed, but can I ask you a crucial question? Was he able to almost give you a tutorial of the game?
Absolutely.
Like, whilst and before you're playing it. Well, that cancels out the annoyance because I think he lives just for those moments, like the tutorial moments. So I think anything that happens after that, he's already...
He's so happy
at that point. Yeah,
right.
He's hit his apex, so he's just like, okay, cool. So I don't think that's an annoying situation.
No, he was annoyed. He was annoyed. He told everybody.
No, I was annoyed. Yeah.
Oh, he was. I misread the situation. Then apologies.
So, but I was also understanding to some extent, but I think it was just like there were a few moments. Where I think that
I didn't try to throw. I did not try to throw. There was one point, Sips. You have a crew. What's the game called, Lewis?
It's called Everrain.
There you go. So you basically imagine Cthulhian monsters are coming out of the fucking woodwork, and they're getting on ships, and sometimes they get on your ship. You've got a crew of like a sort of 18th century crew of a ship. You have to sail around, explore this sort of tiled seascape with islands and cities. And you can do various things at the ports. The crucial thing is you have to pay your crew. So I went into a port, I got some really good crew. Lewis was like, you don't have enough money to pay these guys. And I was like, shit, what can I do to make money? One of the things you can do in port is gamble. If you win, I would have enough money to pay my crew. If I lost, I would not have enough money to pay my crew. So I gambled, and I lost. And I did it because I wanted the security of having enough money to pay my crew. Because I didn't have enough either way. I would have had to lose somebody. So I thought, you know what, let's go for it. And of course I failed. And I never got any more money. And I sailed off into just open waters for the rest of the game. But I did manage to then win the game.
Yes, you did. And you know what? It worked out fine. As just through sheer luck, I think.
So you guys managed to win.
And it took about 4 hours.
So you were on Lewis's team and you won?
It did take about 4 hours.
It took 4 hours, and that was the halfway point. We could have kept going. And the guys were like, should we go for the full game tonight? And I was like, please, God, no. And I was like, well, it is my first time. If this is going to take 8 hours, I'm not really down for that. I mean, that would have been until 1 or 2 in the morning. Jeez. I'm playing this board game, so I thought, no. I mean, maybe if we did it as a whole day thing where it was like, I came in the morning and we played it all day, that would be fine.
Man, that room must have stunk when you guys were done in there. I bet you, like, somebody fresh walking in the situation, hey, guys, how'd the... like, it must just fucking stink in there.
No, it wasn't
not too
smelly.
bad, actually.
It wasn't smelly.
It's
air conditioned. Yeah, it's air conditioned.
It's fine.
That's fine. That's fine.
But in lieu of staying up late to play the board game, I think Pyrian wanted to make up for the fact that it took till 10 p.m. to get to the pub. And so, of course, Pyrian stayed up till 4.
I was out till 4 in the morning.
This was the other thing that annoyed me.
The pub's open all night long in Bristol?
No, but they do close, but you can sometimes get a lock-in. But we went to a karaoke place. We were there till 4, just after. This was a whole bunch of us.
Were you up at like 4 in the morning? Don't call my name. Don't call my name.
We were up at 4 singing. Yes,
Alejandro.
And
nice.
It was great. I had a great night. Me and Rabs got some chips and walked home. He went a slightly different way. I had quite a long walk by myself, but I was humming away. I was delighted. I'd had a great evening. Lewis was not happy about this.
You bribed the karaoke man to stay open.
He wanted to shut
for an additional hour.
Yes, I paid him to let us stay out longer because I could tell that the evening still had another hour in it. But yeah, it was a cracker of a night. But yeah, Lewis was not happy because of course we had the Dota cast the next day. I was fine. The first day, I was fine.
You're a seasoned veteran of the circuit. You know how to drink and stay out late and do work early the next day.
I'm not annoyed and I'm not disappointed either or anything like that. It's like it's almost like just rolling my eyes like, oh, Pyrian, I should have known. Do you know what I mean? It's more like typical period, kind of, rather than me actually being annoyed. By the way, I wasn't really.
I
bothered,
see.
But,
what should I have done? Just gone home and tucked myself into bed?
I think you should have gone home and studied Elden Horizon or whatever board game it was that you played, so that you could do better next time.
Yeah. No, a period did fine. Actually, he picked up really fast. It was really fun. We had a great time. We
that
had a
big
really,
arriving
really
import and not having enough money to pay your crew blunder was
unforgivable.
Was the tipping point.
I can't even be mad about him staying up till 4 a.m. or whatever, because that's fine. But I think because we booked you pretty solid, right, when you were down.
Yeah.
And you had a podcast the next morning.
Yes.
And you cancelled it at like 1 a.m.
Yes, I messaged Ben. I said, Ben, I'm fucked. I'm not going to be in tomorrow to do the podcast with you. And Ben just said, that's fine, no problem. But I didn't see Ben again the rest of the time I was there. So I never really got a chance to apologize to him. That was the person I let down.
Do you think he slammed you the whole podcast long, and then the podcast 100%. Just became about people who flake out last minute on
right.
podcast?
So first of all, knowing Ben, I'm sure he doesn't care at all, and is also just rolling his eyes, typical. Like, because this happens to Ben all the time. Like, we book these recordings in the morning for Trouble at Terrorist Town or main channel stuff, and we always book one extra because there's always going to be someone who pulls out, right, for some reason, because it's just is like that. And so you talk to everyone and they're like, man, I never miss a recording. Who's the guy who flakes out? And I'm like, yes, you do. You miss like 1 in 8 recordings because that's what happens. You know, it's like, oh yeah, maybe I do actually. Because stuff happens, you know, like you've got to take your cat to the vet, or you've got some dentist appointment or some shit, you know, or brandy, or something's going on, or you just oversleep. You know, everyone is equally unreliable because 1 in 8 times we can't do it. It's the same with Triforce. Like, I think about, 1 in 6 or 7 or 8 weeks,
I almost had to cancel this one.
Yeah,
because of weird appointments and stuff like that.
It's just being realistic. So it's weirdly, it weirdly works out though. We almost always get 7, which is a nice round number for these games where there's 2 traitors and 5 innocents.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It's like it's just something we're used to. Period. And don't worry, no one's really bothered. It's just
okay.
It was just a thing that happened at the time that we're like, yeah, well. But we prepare for this because we're used to it with certain other people who are sometimes just not feeling it. Like certain people we record with quite often have, I don't want to say mental health issues, but like, like they got
to be in their zone. They got to be in the right mood.
They have to be in the right mood, and there's no point pushing it if they're not. And I always say this to people, like, look, if you get up and you're not feeling well, or you've not slept, or like you don't want to do it, that is not a problem. You should be able to cancel. Don't feel like you're going to let us down.
I feel like that about everything all the time, and I push through. So I don't know, like, why,
But I think that isn't
everybody else
normally self-inflicted, though, right? Most people, when they've got something the day after, they're not like staying out till 4.
No, I'm certainly, certainly not. Yeah.
Well, I'd be intrigued to hear what listeners of the Triforce podcast make of these simple interactions and the judgments to be handed down.
It's quickly forgotten, and honestly,
I think overall we had a great time.
It was brilliant.
It was a really good trip down. I like having stuff to do. I hate it when I'm sitting around the office with nothing to do, because I think I'm wasting everybody's time. I'm in the way because I'm in an office. And you think, geez, people are working, and here's me yapping away about bullshit and annoying everybody.
They're not really working there, though. You've been to the office before. Like, everybody's just like, they spend all morning figuring out what they want to eat for lunch, and then they spend all afternoon eating their lunch.
That is not that may be for the Yogs, but I mean for the Nina always seems very busy. Harry is always busy.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joshing around.
Every time you make the offense, I write your name down in my book, and I keep note of it.
They've got a basement
the ultimate reckoning comes, Pyrian, you will be punished based on how many strikes you have.
Oh God!
In my little offenses book.
That's every time I've gone out to the pub and got drunk. I mean, I'm doomed. I am doomed.
Pyrian Flax took 2 cans of Coke from the fridge during the recording.
You're in trouble when he turns up with his rubber turtleneck sweater, like Dexter style, with the gloves and stuff. That's the reckoning day. You're
when I pull out my little notebook and start
baby.
scribbling in it.
Yeah.
I know this isn't a mailbag episode, but I thought this was quite a funny letter, very short one. Do you mind if I read it?
Oh, yeah, go for it. Yeah.
This is from Tom, and the title is An Insufferable Listener.
Okay.
Right? This made me laugh.
Yeah.
Big fan of the Triforce podcast. Have been listening since 2017 when I was first at uni.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom. But because of some personal issues, I was back and forth from my home and halls a lot, and I would put the podcast on in the car when my mum was driving me there and back. Unfortunately, my 60-something mother doesn't seem to understand that you guys can't hear her when she replies to or tries to correct the things you say. Drives me up the wall. She even calls you Ted, Lewis, and Chris like you've been mates for 30 years. Just thought you'd like to know about someone who is perhaps your oldest and most infuriating fan. Tom, she sounds great.
She sounds brilliant. Yeah. Let's get her on the show.
Let's get her on.
Get her on.
I'd love for her to correct us, like a little bit in the background, because we say a lot of dumb stuff.
It's true.
Yeah.
We say a lot of stupid things, and we need some elders.
No, I don't think we do. I've said this before when people pop up and say, "Oh, you guys got this wrong." I said, imagine that we're just at the pub, or we're out for dinner, or we're sitting on a park bench having our sandwiches or something, and we're chatting, and you stopped. You were earwigging on our conversation. And you were like, that's funny. Yeah, these guys are funny. Wait a minute. Excuse me, you've got that wrong. You wouldn't do that. You would never go up and correct someone you didn't know. You wouldn't go up and just offer a fucking...
fire up like 25 wikis on your phone. And
right.
You'll see right
you wouldn't
here
do that.
on Game Facts, what you're saying is wrong. Yeah. No, you wouldn't do it.
But equally, you wouldn't think, this is where I'll glean some knowledge by listening to these three idiots talk on a park bench. You wouldn't. So you wouldn't correct us, but equally you wouldn't use us as a source.
I don't know.
So therefore we don't need to be fucking correct.
It's a weird comparison though, because we're doing this for like public consumption, right? So I'd liken it more to like it's like our version of being heckled, I think. You know, like how a stand-up would get heckled, or you know, like a stage show might have like some heckling or whatever. This is our heckling. This is just what we have to overcome. We got to deal with it, and somehow meld it into the you know what I mean? Like I think it's just heckling. It's just a bit of just a gentle little heckle.
Even I don't call you Chris and Ted.
No,
right?
I find it so weird.
Flax calls me Chris
sometimes.
It's weird though, because most people do not call me that. Like
I do. I call you that when I'm around your family, but only about half the time.
Yeah.
It feels like only when I remember that's actually your name.
It's funny though, because if we have people over, whatever people end up calling me, people normally just end up calling me dad or daddy, because I'm referred to that mostly around my house, right? So
yeah, I do
in-laws,
that,
my parents, when they come over, they start calling me daddy, which is kind of weird. It's it does happen.
I have people in chat do that quite often. Hi, Dad. And I always tell them I'm not their fucking dad and they need to stop doing that.
Right.
But you seem to embrace it.
No, I don't know if I necessarily embrace it.
Your reactions.
I'm not your dad. I'm not your fucking dad.
Chat.
I have kids. I'm not going to let someone else call me dad just because they're fucking old and online. I'm not your dad.
There's a few, your reactions that are a little bit unexpectedly angry. We talked about
the drivers one was so fucking good though. Have you heard the clip of the drivers? Have you heard this?
Drivers?
No.
Drivers.
Oh my god, that was unbelievable.
It's so fucking funny. You know, like Lewis, you might not really have these situations because of the studio and stuff like that when you're streaming, but certainly Flax, myself, and anybody who streams from home with their own setup and stuff will have experienced this. And it's when something doesn't work unexpectedly or just out of the blue, right? Like your audio will just break, or something really really small, but it has a big impact. And then Twitch chat are furiously trying to troubleshoot for you.
All your viewers are fucking IT experts. Every single one of them coming out of the woodwork
and like
with some
true
advice.
IT experts, they recommend the most fucking obvious thing en masse first. So the driver's clip is basically Pyrian getting annoyed at this and saying, "Of course I fucking tried the most obvious fucking thing, like immediately. That's the first thing I did." But the rant was beautiful. It was so.
I think it
was
spoke
very
to other
eloquent
streamers
too. Like it was really nice. Yeah, it's good.
It spoke to us all.
Yeah,
Anyone who
did,
streams, you're like, I have been there, brother. I get it.
Yeah.
But most people wouldn't shout. I have no patience. Like I'm playing a hard game like Tarkov, and some fucking idiot popping up and saying some dumb shit. I'm not gonna engage with them in a pleasant way, because what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I must have driven a lot of viewers away, but I just can't stand it. The usual kind of shit that people do, the same tired old jokes.
This is it. This is the thing we talked about.
Honestly.
Because you could get banned in Period's chat for making a dad joke.
You can get banned in Pyrian's chat for mentioning my name.
Yes.
No, that's not the case. That's not the case. I said last night.
They've changed it now.
So, first of all, I never ban people just for saying Sips or Lewis. Never. We had a command for a long time, which was Lewis, and it was like, Pyrian does not have a tracking device inside of Lewis, because people be like, hey, Pyrian, where's Lewis? As if I fucking know. Like, I don't know. We don't live together.
As if I live with you or something.
He lives in Bristol, I live in London. I don't know where Lewis is. It was like all the time.
And I get it. I totally get that, because if someone came into my chat and asked me, where's this guy that I like more, it doesn't sound,
exactly.
It doesn't. They're not asking that, but it kind of sounds like
no,
that,
they
right?
are. And the biggest one, obviously, Sips' stream is considerably bigger than my stream. Has way more subs, way more viewers. I get it. People come in and say things like, hey guys, Sips has just started streaming. Like, which is like, what are you doing? Like, in what other frame of reference would you ever do that? Yeah, you fucking loving it. But what I did was I banned the word Sips. Because that way, like, I've just put it on my banned words list. You cannot say it. So people found all these ways around it. They do like S1, PS, and stuff like that. So I banned those where I can.
Nice.
And they would literally come in and say, Pyrian, do you know when Sips is streaming? When is Sips going live? Why aren't you playing lists of Sips? Did you see Sips? Man. And I was like, can we not just turn this into the Sips waiting room channel? That's not fair.
I am humbled, but I wish they would have maybe picked like XQC's stream, or like somebody who has like fucking 80,000 viewers to do the advertising.
Go do that in a big stream, surely.
Yes, please.
I'd love it if everyone left your chat as well. Spirit, you just
exodus.
You were just
everybody's like
there with like your hands held out. You got like 0 viewers.
Right.
All of a sudden.
Oh, Sips is live. Everybody fucking leaves. But it's like, well, what the fuck? So yes, I have banned people for that, because it's just obnoxious and shitty.
Yeah, that's understandable. Oh man, that's so funny though. That's just funny. Streaming so much fun, isn't it? It's just
streaming is a bonkers life.
It is just wild. It's just a wild ride. Everybody gets to jump on and have a go, kinda, I guess. Oh man.
Do you guys want to hear? So Sam Morris, who is our podcast producer, shout out to Sam. He's put together a little list for me of assorted gaming and pop culture news from the last week.
Right.
Did Sam listen to last week's podcast and think, fuck, these guys need help, and produce the list?
I think so.
Holy crap. So thank you, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
So the first article is a man named, or lady maybe, named Voskuil.
Oh, yeah.
Who he got some vintage Nintendo playing cards. Now, of course, Nintendo made playing cards before video games and board games as well. They made pinball and things like that, didn't they? They were this quite big company before video games came along. And so this guy has found these 2 vintage sets of Nintendo playing cards, which are still sealed. And of course, he wanted to do a pack opening and look through them, but they had been pressed together for so long that
the cards got stuck to the
cards
wrapper.
Were joined together in one solid brick of 52 cards.
Oh no!
And so it's just this one like solid square of paper.
Was he able to separate them?
No.
Oh,
no.
Holy shit! That's unfortunate. Yeah. You could have he could have made a butt ton of money off of that.
Selling them all individually.
Yeah. Putting them into their own little plastic sleeves and stuff.
It's almost like it's a bit ironic, because the only card that's visible is the Joker, effectively. So it's kind of like, this is what happens with old stuff, though, isn't it? Like, I guess it must have been. It's the latest in this trend of playing cards and unboxing and things of value.
Opening stuff.
In the Pokemon card trend, people are getting Nintendo cards from the 50s, and thinking that they're going to be the ones that get cracked open. All right, next, Iowa State Fair's Big Boar contest. Okay, is a thing that happens every year.
What do they do? Big boar?
big boar. So like they feed up boars to be as big as they possibly can.
Oh, okay.
And the heaviest boar wins, right? And they're like 1,000
Right. They
pounds
fatten it
plus.
up and right.
They're massive.
So they just load it up.
Yeah. And so typically there's like 10 entries, but this year, because the cost of, or I don't know, it's either the cost of pig feed or the heat, the hot summer, but maybe pigs lost their appetite. But there were only 2 pigs that were big enough.
This is a very common thing recently for me. I've heard a lot of this in gaming and stuff too. There's a lot of games that have been changed or nerfed where the cost of juicing something up outweighs the potential return that you'll get from deploying that juiced up thing. You know what I mean? Like,
deploy the juiced up hog.
Deploy the juiced up hog.
Right.
Wait for the profits to arrive, but the profits don't come in, or they're not enough to cover the initial cost of juicing.
I guess this is just for the prestige
these days.
Surely, the prestige of having a giant pig. I just think it's interesting because this can't be healthy for the hog. I'm sure it's happy, but if you let
those hogs all end up getting killed anyway, though, right?
Yeah,
So
that's true. But
listen to this.
That's not you can't mistreat
Don't worry
them
about the
until
pig.
then.
It's going to be eaten anyway. Marv Reitima, 73, of Sioux Center, bought his pig, Pee-wee, at an auction last summer. He was £950.
Jesus,
Right.
that's expensive.
Oh my god! What is that in kilos? That's
Who
half
cares?
a ton.
Oh wow.
That's
Half a
it's
ton.
400 kilos, 450, and he gained another £170 by the time Marv showed him at the city fair.
Right.
What the heck was Marv feeding him?
Well, let's read on. He's raised pigs nearly all his life and started by adding dried milk to the feed. But the pig didn't like it. So he'd take one sniff of it and he'd walk away. He turned out to be a jerk. In fact, he had a really picky taste and he would only eat very high sugar stuff. And so Marv picked up a bunch of out-of-date donuts that were due to be tossed away from Casey's Bakery, right?
Yeah.
And he turns out that the pig really loves cream-filled Long Johns. Okay.
Long
Right.
Johns.
I don't know what they are.
What's a Long John?
I think it looks like it's like a kind of like a hot dog.
Oh, it's a
bun
donut.
shaped
It's a long donut. Okay.
filled with cream.
Right, gotcha.
Right. So every week, right, he would drive past the store and fetch up to 25 pounds of donuts with
a lot of
gallons of fresh creamy milk from a nearby dairy farm.
Nice.
It's been incredibly expensive having to get this stuff, says Marv. It's not a cheap hobby, but what hobby is? And
Hobby
so
of if it's such
feeding up
a strange thing
a
to call
pig.
that a hobby.
Yeah.
No.
Hobbies and interests? Fattening pigs. Pig
Yes.
fattening. It's a big hobby of
I
mine.
stayed up all night last night till 2 a.m. fattening up my pig. I just love it. I can't get enough of it. It's such a thrill. It's such a weird hobby.
Yeah,
So the
you will meet up
typical-
at the weekend with your fat pigs and
Oh
discuss.
my god! A typical meat pig is £280, but this year was £1,300.
Holy
just
crap, man.
crazy,
Does the pig even move? I'd imagine it just looks like a gigantic beach ball
What's
with
the
like
pig's
little
name?
pig legs poking out.
The pig's name is Pee-wee.
Pee-wee fat pig. Let's have a look.
It's like, yeah.
God, he's huge.
Can his little trotters even touch the ground?
Yeah, dude. So I'll send. I'll
seems
put. I'll
he's
put a.
holding
I'll
it
put
well.
a link
He's
in
honestly holding his
Discord. I'll
weight
put a
well.
link in Discord. Unfortunately, this is one of those stupid news sites you have to. Let me see. I'll just get the picture. Hold on a sec.
I can see it.
You see that?
Yeah.
Look at the size of that fucker. But look, his little feet touch the
absolutely
ground.
enormous.
He just looks like a big pig. He doesn't look like. I guess they're built to get big. Like if
I
your
guess so,
dog
yeah.
got this fat, they would just lie there. Like I've seen really fat cats, and they just like balloons. They could barely walk. This guy looks like, yeah, I'm ready for this. He look at the power in those
He's
thighs.
holding it well.
Yeah. He's just a
Like he's the
big
king of
fucker.
Look
pigs.
so jovial, eh? Look at how happy they look.
He's
Oh,
loving
I
it.
know.
Yeah.
He's a good lad. Yeah.
Gosh.
What a life, though.
Do love
What a
it.
life,
do
man.
love a pig. What a happy little face they've got. Piglet,
Well, like,
you're
little
reminds me,
piglets are so cute,
They are.
man.
They
Holy
are.
crap.
Reminds me of the Goblin King from Lord of the Rings, like that big fat emperor of all the goblins, with all the chins.
Which one's that? From Lord of the Rings?
Must be from The Hobbit, in fact.
Oh,
I guess.
yeah.
Oh, I never saw that.
Yeah,
I heard it wasn't very good, but then some
recently.
people have said it's not that bad. It's not as
The
bad
Hobbit?
as people say.
The Hobbit movies are terrible, mate. They're terrible.
Yeah,
They
I've
are
heard
bad.
that they
They
are
are bad.
really bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's you can get like a cut which cuts out all of the bad stuff, and actually what's left is pretty good.
I mean,
okay.
you shouldn't need someone to edit a 9-hour trilogy down to be
yeah.
watchable. But yeah, it's really poor.
On this subject or loosely related, have either of you watched the new Game of Thrones House of Dragons?
Mrs.
thing
F
yet?
has watched some of it, yeah.
Right.
There's only one episode.
So well, she watched
right.
that. She watched that then. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I haven't watched it yet. She liked it. She said it was good. But
Okay.
we loved Game of Thrones like everybody else before it went to shit. We loved it.
Yeah.
She likes that fantasy stuff. She loved Wheel of Time. She loves all that. So yeah, she enjoyed it. I'm sure if you liked Game of Thrones and you want to see more of it,
I
go
like
for it.
Game of Thrones.
She said it was very violent,
Okay.
which kind of put me off because I always felt the violence in Game of Thrones. I don't mind someone being like run through with a sword, but when it feels
that's the exact violence. Yeah, that is
right. But when it's literally like in Game of Thrones, what they do, it'll be like they'll slowly run the sword up their belly, and they sort of go. I'm like, this is too much. I just want to chill. Now I've seen a murder recreated as expertly as possible. It's a bit much.
Sure.
It has got those moments, yeah.
What did you think, Lewis?
I liked it. I like Matt
Okay.
Smith as the.
Not Matt Smith.
He's
fucking
actually
hell.
good. He's good.
Mate,
isn't
I
it?
can't stand him.
Okay.
I'm not a
He's done a lot.
doctor.
He's done a lot of bad stuff.
He's done
They've
a
him
lot of
dirty.
shit. He was in Morbius, for fuck's sake.
Oh yeah, Matt Smith.
I don't like Doctor Who. I just
Well, he was going to be in the last Star Wars,
Matthew Robert Smith.
He was going to be in the Return of Skywalker or whatever it was called.
just
He was
not
in,
not
he
a fan.
played Prince Philip in The Crown as well, apparently.
Yeah, he was
I've never
okay
seen
in
that.
that. I
Never
think
seen
honestly, House of Dragon. I'm big into Game of Thrones. I've been playing the miniatures game on the
Right.
weekends. I went to this local village hall. Did I tell you this? To play this miniatures game. It was just me and two old men.
Yes.
Right.
And it was
Was
very
one of them
weird.
trying to throw the game on purpose so that he could go to the top floor?
No, it was fine. Me and Ben's friend played the Song of Ice and Fire miniatures game. It was good. No, I'm into the. It's only one episode so far, so we'll see. But Sam actually added this to the notes. He says there's a bit in the show where people talk about like how you smell like dragon, kind of have a shower kind of thing. And the other ones are like, they just talk about what dragons smell like a couple of times. It's a bit weird. And then everyone on the internet has been trying to ask scientists what dragons smell like. And so apparently the strongest smell associated with Komodo dragons and bats is urine, right? Which smells like, but also some give off an odor of burnt oranges, fungus, and corn tortillas.
Right.
And so, and the other thing is about, because Komodo dragons, they eat raw meat, right?
Right.
Which is obviously different to the smell that you would get from the barbecued or flame grilled meat that I guess the dragons eat. So that there's not really an animal that eats charred meat, that we have a comparison for, because even dinosaurs would eat raw meat, right? Like a carnivore. So
Well, we assume, yeah. I mean, nobody was really around to fact check,
Yeah,
Maybe-
I mean, also, these are not, I don't think a Komodo dragon, although it's called a Komodo dragon, you couldn't really compare it to a fucking dragon. Like, they would smell of, like, sulfur or whatever mechanism they produce fire. They'd probably fucking reek because they're big
that's
animals.
right. I reckon it's sulfur. They haven't even written this in the fucking
Yeah.
thing. That makes more sense.
But you know
Although I guess
what
it
it's going to smell
depends.
like. It's going to smell like, old world sulfur and fire and just dragon
Brimstone.
stank. Just BO from a dragon.
just a
Yeah.
bunch of ass.
Just that pet shop smell.
Yeah.
That,
But like
They-
absolutely juiced up pet shop smell.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, to the max, just juiced out of the gills.
Yeah. What else we got in this stupid list? So, there's a black hole that people have been analyzing the
Right.
audio from.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And you know how like the video games make these like black holes and things sound like that, like that kind of like the dark Inception kind of sound of the epic space. You can imagine what a black hole sounds like in your head, right?
Yeah, it's just like a white noise drumming sort of noise, isn't it? Like a low hum or something like that. Yeah.
Maybe we could put the sound in here, and I can like I'll just play it to you as well. Hang on, let me link you this.
Send us a link. I want to hear what a black hole sounds like. Is it like?
Yeah, imagine it was just like a
Like that.
series of like pan flute sounds like
All right, here we go. I'll listen to this. Hold on. Good lord. Oh, that's eerie.
that's terrifying.
It's weird, isn't it?
So if you're out in space and you're approaching that bad boy, that's what you'd hear?
Well,
So what they're
obviously
saying is there's so much
yeah.
gas around it that there's actually a medium for the sound to travel in. Because
so
you know,
people, this is a misconception. This is according to this tweet which was from
NASA
so it's definitely
exoplanets, yes.
probably accurate. It says the misconception is that there is no sound in space because most space is a vacuum. However, a galaxy cluster has so much gas that sound can travel.
NASA, it's probably a big scam, isn't it? Aren't they like North American Scamming Association? Am I right, guys?
Isn't it crazy? It sounds like some sort of eldritch horror, doesn't it?
it does.
Like a sort of a terrifying, dark. A lot of people are comparing it to the Mass Effect Reapers, you know.
Right.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's a strange sound.
Yeah, so the initial sound actually is so incomprehensibly low, right? That it's so deep that they've had to move it nearly 60 octaves up.
Jesus.
Right?
What
60 octaves? That's like 10 pianos, I guess. Or
That's
maybe
like the difference between going like oh like that. Like that's an octave or a few octave shift, right? So they're
they've had
saying
to do that
it's
60 times.
like way lower than that, like super lower than you could ever reproduce, presumably, with the human
Well, of course,
voice.
yeah. So there's no way that humans could actually even register the unmanipulated sound waves, but they do exist, and they are so deep that, in fact, they've been pitched up 144 quadrillion times to make that sound.
That's amazing.
Because space is so fucking foreign to us.
It's mad. I think about it all the time. Like every time I see a picture of space or I'm watching something about space, I watch a lot of space stuff on the internet. It's so bafflingly, insanely huge, and mystifying and impossible to know and unreachable and fascinating that it just consumes you. And I try not to get too deep into a black hole, if you like, of space stuff, because I'll just disappear. And you end up giving up. Like, it makes you feel very nihilistic about things and think, well, what the fuck is the actual point? But then luckily Professor Brian Cox brings us back down to earth and says things like, you know, we are just shrubs on the edge of the highway of the galaxy. But without those shrubs, is there a motorway there at all? And our corner of the galaxy is inhabited by, as far as we know, the only intelligent life that we've yet discovered. And for that reason, we might be the most important discovery that we've ever made. Something like that. You think, thank you, Professor Brian Cox. I was worried there for a minute.
Those meaningless platitudes, of just garbage.
Well, I really liked Universe.
Great
I
when
did
said
like
in his northern accent.
I was a non-believer in Cox for some time, but because it just felt like I've done this when we did the Rust RP. One of the recurring characters is Brian Cox, and I ranted about how he doesn't need to go to the fucking Gobi Desert to show me sand. He could go to Bournemouth Beach. It's much cheaper. This is at the license fee payer's expense. We don't need to have him in the fucking Gobi Desert just to run sand through his hands and say, Mars has sand on it. It's like, I don't need you in a desert. You could do that in Bournemouth or just in a room with some sand. Like, we have sand here. So I kind of had an issue with the grandiose nature of the production of the shows, Whereas I think when David Attenborough does it, they've had to go see this animal. So I get it. Of course they have to go. Like, if he just held up a picture of that lizard and said, this lizard lives on so-and-so, it would suck. I want to see the actual lizards, right? And that's fine. But he's talking about space. We can't send Brian Cox into actual space, so he has to find things on Earth that he can use to kind of demonstrate to us this is what it might be like. But he goes to these remote locations to do something with rocks and sand. You think you don't need to go at first class, staying in a fancy hotel, no doubt, to do that. I had an issue with that. But his most recent series was very good. I think Universe, whatever it's called. I really enjoyed it.
I don't mind when they go somewhere really alien on Earth. Like, for example, there's a couple of really weird landscapes near volcanoes, or, you know,
what about like
in
those
the
salt
desert.
flats in Peru and shit like that? It doesn't even look like you're on Earth
anymore.
anymore.
Seems like some alien planet, and I don't mind that as much, honestly. So you've got to do it somewhere. I mean, a green screen. I'm on Mars. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I want it to be like that, with people jumping around in space.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It has to be. Like you said, it has to be enough that it doesn't piss you off or take you out of it, right? Or it's like, come on, give me a break. So yeah. Well, there you go. That was our Triforce podcast for the day. Thank you for listening. You know,
well, thanks for
you
turning
don't
up.
annoy us, guys.
You guys should thank me for turning up as well. I turned up. I wasn't going to. I mean, I was good.
Thank you for turning up.
Hey, thanks for also turning up. Thanks for making this happen.
And shout out to that guy's mum who listens in the
big
car.
ups to that guy's
Tom's mum.
Tom's mum, if you're listening.
God bless
Tom's
you
mum.
both.
Tom's mum has got it going on. Everybody remember that song?
Yeah, everybody remembers it. And and we also discovered today, didn't we, that Lewis was annoyed at one point. And
yes.
I got it wrong.
A strangle period as well.
Jeez.
God.
For purposely throwing a...
I won that game.
5+ hour long board game.
Oh my God. You would have left, Zips. I'm just saying. 5 hours.
You would have gone to the pub.
And that was halfway through.
I mean, I don't know. So I can get really into those games. Once I get going, you know,
it was very frustrating.
I'm very bingey. Like, I'll go for
it.
It's a very frustrating game as well. Like, sometimes you just cannot fucking do anything.
Oh, I wouldn't like that. I like being able to at least fucking do something.
I didn't do anything.
Yeah,
man.
It's the nature of these things. Anyway, maybe we'll play with you when you come down, Sip. So
It's
good fun.
Good luck, bud. Let me know.
I will. Yeah, I'll good. Full
and then
trip
you can stay up till 4 a.m.
Compiled. Oh yeah, that'd be nice. I can't wait for that. More so than actually playing the game. Yeah, that'd be good.
All right, we love you. See you next week.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye.